Well, as you'd expect, lots of reaction in the press after Harris's speech wrapped up the Democratic National Convention. Let's bring in our press reviewer. Deepti Laurent is here in studio to take us through it.
Well, Sharon, lots of glowing reviews for Kamala Harris, notably from the New York Times today. Journalist Frank Bruni says that Kamala Harris really showed that she knows how to win, hailing her transformation, hailing her also for having the humility to learn from her past errors in speaking in public. She leaned into her strengths, notably her smile, and attacked her opponent, Donald Trump, without sounding gleeful or puerile, he says. And her brevity is also something to be applauded. The fact that her speech was clocked in at about 30 minutes, far less than that of Donald Trump's when he spoke at the Republican National Convention, and a speech in which she also addressed issues that she knew her critics would be looking out for, particularly critics who say that she lacks substance on certain issues. So all in all, a performance that showed she really knows how to win. USA Today's opinion staff today also says that Harris was fully herself in that acceptance speech, and that is something that should certainly worry Donald Trump. Also hailing the Kamala Harris we saw there on stage, but also the air of self-assurance and her speech that was inescapably authentic.
Quite a different tale being weaved, though, by the conservative press, Deepti.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can imagine, they're far more critical. This is from the National Review, a pretty prominent conservative news magazine, which says that Harris capped off that convention with her personal story and Trump attack lines, but she did not attacking her once again on the lack of substance, which really seems to be a running theme in the criticism we're seeing leveled against Kamala Harris. The magazine also wonders if she wins, how will she govern? She did talk about issues like tax cuts for the middle class, opportunity economy, abortion rights, gun violence. But the review says, as of today, the Harris Waltz campaign website still contains no real concrete issues or in its policy section. The Wall Street Journal, another conservative newspaper, also expanding on that, evoking nonetheless the historic symbolism of Kamala Harris's nomination. But it says that her task going forward will be to maintain that momentum and to continue framing herself as the candidate for change, and while portraying Donald Trump as someone who's very out of touch. Yet the website, the newspaper, does cite a recent study that shows that over a third of voters polled say they still don't know what she really stands for.
There's been strong criticism too, Deepti, from the fiscally conservative Economist.
Yeah, that's right. The Economist obviously focusing on Kamala Harris. She can win, but how would she govern? That's another a question that we saw in the Wall Street Journal as well. In its coverage, it says that she's really only revealed the vaguest of policy platforms, and also says that basically they think that she's just hoping that the euphoria will continue until the day of the election. The magazine also noting that when she ran for president in 2020, she was really a standard bearer for the left and left-wing policies, more spending, state-funded healthcare, and decriminalizing illegal border crossings. All of that has sort of been tempered down now as she's become presidential nominee. But once again, the paper saying what she plans to do for the economy is still unknown.
Finally then, Deepti, Politico is taking a look at how Harris's team is running her campaign a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's a really interesting article that looks at the rise of the influencers who are standing Kamala and infuriating the press along the way. So obviously reaching out to a younger demographic means embracing their ways of communicating. And for Kamala Harris's team at the convention, there was actually a special lounge called the Creator Lounge, a special area reserved for about 200 influencers credentialed by Harris's team to cover the convention. And it's the first time that we've seen these lounges at either the Democratic or Republican national conventions. And much to the bitterness of journalists who feel they're being sidelined or disrespected in favor of influencers who many journalists believe are simply acting as cheerleaders. And Politico explains that the lounge was actually separated into three categories: influencers with political experience, influencers with follower numbers, and micro creators. These are influencers with tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands of followers, but who have sway in swing states that will certainly play a big role come election day in the US.
Deepti, for now, thank you. That is Deepti Gilleron with our press review.